Hey, so as you can see from the title of this video, we are talking about anthropology today. Specifically, anthropology without Marxism. Now, if you're familiar with anthropology in the modern world, you know that the study of man has been infected with Marxist ideology. Cultural relativism is all pervasive in the field of anthropology. Um, and egalitarianism is just rampant. Um, there's also the fact that the differential treatment of European cultures uh, is also prevalent. Um, of course, Marxists. If Marxists were honest about their goals, they would simply come out and say that they want the destruction of Western civilization, and they will do that by any means necessary. Um, However, in order to subvert, they use these different tactics of stating other goals, such as equality, well-being, prosperity, anti-corporatism, anti-authoritarianism. Uh, and you know what? Some of those goals may actually be good things. But I don't believe Marxism is the way to bring about uh, the solution to those goals. So I have read two textbooks on anthropology. I read a biological anthropology textbook and I read a cultural anthropology textbook. I've read some other books on anthropology. I read The Silent Language by Edward T. Hall. I read, of course, Jacques Calvin wrote a paleoanthropology book. I forget what it was called. The Birth of the Gods and the Origin of Agriculture. Something like that. And I read that as well. And I've read The Chalice and the Blade, which is paleoanthropological. A lot of this is Marxist. A lot of it does have Marxist influence in it. So how do you separate the Marxism from the study of man? Well, there's different ways to go about it, and I would point to Robert Sepper as just one of many potential examples of how to go about a non-Marxist anthropology. However, Robert Sepper probably isn't the best, because here's the thing: when you're studying humans, you want to be looking for good ideas. You want to be looking for solutions to problems that we face. And what Robert Sepper does, he really just tries to wake up the European man to his culture and his cultural identity, and tries to unify Europeans using this cultural identity. And of course, he also uses comparative anthropology to try to validate certain spiritual beliefs. That's the majority of Robert Sepper's work. So he's not looking for solutions to problems, and he's not looking for the state of nature that anthropologists and a lot of people, a lot of different fields actually are searching for. So one thing that you could do what Robert Sepper does, which is just try to validate European beliefs and European identity. That would be one way of doing things. You could go to a pre-Marxist anthropology. Actually, you could be trying to categorize all different human societies in terms of primitive / savage and civilized, and the varying degrees between those two. Um, this this isn't actually necessarily a bad thing, but if you do categorize things in that manner, you won't really be as eclectic as I am. You won't be searching the primitive cultures for solutions to civilized problems, which is something that I suggest doing, and I'll get into that in a bit. But this sort of categorization would show you the development of civilization, and that in and of itself may be useful. You could possibly use that sort of system to predict where civilization will go next. Then, of course, my take on anthropology is the pragmatic take. That is very specifically looking for solutions to problems. So you get a culture that is very primitive. They live in mud huts or something, but they use a certain type of root that has anti-cancer properties, or they have a ritual that they use to process a certain plant that is toxic by nature, but through this ritualistic process, the plant becomes usable and becomes medicinal. So you have something positive coming from this very primitive culture, something useful. And if you just categorize them, if you just write them off as primitive savages with nothing good to offer, then you're not going to be looking for that. You're not going to be using that. You're not going to see the good that they do, the beneficial practices that they do. For example, ayahuasca. Ayahuasca was developed by the Amazonian tribes. It it is a process. It's not just they found an herb that gets them high. They found two herbs. They found the correct proportions to mix them with, and the correct order in which to take them, and the correct method by which to take them. And in our modern world, taking psychedelics opens you up to new ideas. It repairs brain damage. It heals depression and anxiety. And of course, like I said, it does open you up to new ideas, which is important. We need new ideas. We need good ideas. I believe what Terence McKenna said about that. Our world is endangered by the absence of good ideas. That's just one example. And without these quote-unquote primitive tribes having figured out this advanced technique for altering consciousness, we may not even have known about oral DMT for centuries past now. So yes, looking for solutions in other cultures is a good thing. It's a net good. And what you want to do is be eclectic, because there's good and bad to everything. A culture may have a deep knowledge of medicinal plants, or they may have a good knowledge of how to heal wounds, and that is useful information. But that culture may also have some very barbaric practices that you want to avoid. So you want to pick and choose very carefully what you accept into your culture and what you reject. And I do just want to point this out. I'm using culture in the Marxist framework, because we just don't have the language to use to describe what we call cultures without calling them cultures. The proper definition of a culture is a system in which growth occurs. So not everything that humans do is culture, and not every society that exists has a culture. But we don't have a word for what this is without, just referring to it as a culture without culture. That's about all. Thank you for watching. Peace.